Hey guys, this is Dardamus with Dardamus Dominions. I'm here with RCK. How are you doing, dude?
Doing good, doing good.
And the two of us will be interviewing the TheMeInTeam, who's playing Asphodel. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Great.
Now we're going to go
The
over.
forest's starting to smell a little rancid, though.
What's that, sorry?
The forests are starting to smell a little rancid, though. Not sure what that's about.
Well, I'm hoping that we're going to be moving into the plains here and that you are at least semi-successful. And right away, I've got a question for you. Where are your sacreds?
I am not recruiting sacreds. Well, except for the mages. My mages are sacred, so there you go. My sacreds are in my capital researching for the moment.
Now, what is the why are you not researching the why are you not sorry not researching why are you not recruiting your sacreds?
I have 2 Dominion candles in my Pretender build, and one of them is being used on the mages I'm recruiting. So we're operating without sacreds.
It seems like you're doing very well without them. Did you watch any of Lucid's videos about Asphodel? Did he ever release those?
I don't know that he did. I don't remember seeing it. What you're seeing now is what I came up with from testing them a lot in single player. That's not to say I have the perfect build or whatever, but there's problems with the nation. They have a fairly wide reputation for being terrible, but I thought it'd be fun to try them out in multiplayer. I've gotten them to a point where I can at least do some things with them. So
What now? Why two Dominion? As I guess is the question because it's very interesting.
it's there's a couple reasons for it. One is that the pop kill mechanic functions based on the strength of your Dominion score, but it also influences your free spawn. So my plan is to preach up the forest forts that I am summoning with my national spells to 7 candles and leave everything else at 1 to 2 candles, where it will kill population much more slowly. So I'm going to have gold for longer than people might expect, and that will allow me to afford mages and actually get some research in, ideally.
Like this is beautiful, dude. It's turn 5. You're sitting on 7 or 8 provinces. You've already gotten your natural borders. And what's kind of interesting is that you're using your little pretender here kind of is spreading your dominion a little aggressively. In whereas
Yeah, that's not really the plan. Like, my Dominion isn't that good for me, but it does help him expand because he's got heart skin and then a few nature things.
but
Exactly.
it's expanding it to your borders, which is really interesting because you might be able to start putting your dominion into other territories nearby, which is kind of, I mean, an added bonus.
With 2 candles, it's unlikely to last.
That's
And
true.
I was a little surprised. I was able to get a non-aggression pact with Zan already. I guess maybe he saw the bull and he's like, I'll deal with this later. I don't know. I did send that message in game, but I don't know if you're doing those or not.
I
Yeah,
love roads.
yeah.
You realize
And
there's a road all the
that
way
pretender
up
has
here.
incredible range in general. I mean, it's not as good as a flyer, but you can routinely get 2 provinces out of the bull, which I really like because it makes you a lot more flexible. Although his move this turn is to move into the forest, where I'm also going to move, or I think I moved the centaur there last turn.
Okay.
Yeah, he's building a fort, and the bull is going to build to cast my first growth fortress. So the other reason I took an awake, not just to expand and deter rushes, but also because you need to be nature 4 in order to grow your forts, and those are the only forts you get that have 2 commander points that let you recruit 1 mage per turn. You can with the panic apostates, they can random nature 4, but they are slow to recruit, and I think it's 1 in 4 on that. So that is not something you want to rely on if you were trying to get your fort set up quickly in year 1. So I felt like Awake was almost mandatory, and I figured if I'm going to take Awake just to get a reliable fort out, that I might as well make it something that can help me expand. So I decided to pay the price in that with the not really being able to use my sacreds. Although, to be fair, since Asphodel's pop kill, you're not going to be recruiting your black centaurs long term, no matter what, because your population is going to die in your capital. You won't have any recruitment points eventually. So there's a timer on them anyway if you choose to use them. I'm going a bit for the longer game here, but still have decent expansion, decent research.
Have you seen the Twice Born version of these guys?
Yeah, you can actually summon. I think they look the same as the summon.
They're not the
versions,
same as they keep their path. The summon ones have H3. These ones keep their magic path, so they're a little different. And so you can get
Okay.
you can get Earth on them, and as such, you can cast your national spells. Now, let's transition into your national spells real quick. You talked about growing fortresses, but there are some other ones, correct?
Yeah, a lot of them are battlefield buffs for your troops, and then you have the summons. The one I make the most frequently is the Carrion Centaurs, when I'm using summons, because they can awaken mannequins. So, at least the way I'm picturing Asphodel, at some point your population is going to be dying off, but you're going to be getting free spawn. And you also, like a much, much weaker version of Scalaria, as you summon more Carrion Centaurs, once those are up, they're reanimators. They reanimate mannequins rather than long dead, but they're still reanimators. So you can get piles of undead with this nation. And so one of the plans with them is, of course, to go into the usual big death magic, rigor mortis, darkness, that sort of thing. And yeah, you do get a variety of free spawn. The elephant ones are pretty nice. They're much better than normal elephants because they do not have the same morale issues.
50 morale. That's wonderful, dude.
And you can fluff them. It's hard to get a lot of water, but you can get enough water to put quickness and something like Iron Warriors on that in the mid game if you need it, and put out a lot of damage with them.
What's funny is like some of these units that cause fear, I don't like. They don't look that scary, but something about this. Like, what's funny is I think that it's the morale 50 that makes this a scary unit for me. Like, as a player, I would be fearful.
It's got a lot of health, and one of the national spells for Asphodel is regen for undead. So you can get regen on it.
Was that the Carrion Growth?
Yeah, I think Carrying Growth is the entire battlefield one. That's pretty hard to get, but the point buffing version at Holy 2, any of the Dryad Hags can cast that, no trouble.
Well, what's interesting is these Carrion Lords are H3, so you can get H3 for 35 gems, but it's 35 gems.
You can turn it into your profit and make it an H4.
Yeah.
Oh, it's H4. That's right. I'm sorry, H4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have to pick my one stack to send that with and use H4. But I kind of like preaching up my forts when I'm taking low Dominion score. That way I also get some free spawn.
Yeah, I actually thought that was really interesting because that's something that a lot of people don't know about, is that you can preach above your Dominion score. I was really surprised when you said 2 Dominion, but once you talked through it and explained, I was like, yeah, that's a pretty cool idea. I like it.
Yeah, I just have to keep people from dom pressing too hard into those, because only prophets can, or other H3s that are allowed to preach, can preach you to 7 with a temple. The H2s only preach you to 5.
So with saying that, how do you feel with Ermor beside you? Because they notoriously go for very high dom.
I don't particularly like it, especially because I know he trashes his scales. But I mean, ultimately, it's probably less bad for me than most people because I'm also pop kill.
That's true.
But I'm still not excited to see Ermor next to me because that's not with his typical blood vengeance, like Hell of Less Lictors. It's not a good matchup for me. Those can pretty easily kill the White Bull. And I don't know how the mannequins are going to fare, but I suspect not very well.
He's played this matchup before. I played against Novell as Asphodel, and you can match up well against him.
You think? Did the mannequins inflict fatigue on the lictors?
I subbed in for a Dominion 1 Asphodel, and it was actually just fine. It was just fine. See, people always worry about Dominion in this game, and I don't understand why. I've never been dom killed before, except for once. Technically, somebody subbed in for me, and they got dom killed, but by then it was a turn before I got killed. So it was like, oh, darn, I got dom killed. It's really hard to kill somebody through Dominion because you need to remember that the Dominion spreads in a random direction, and there's so many different ways that Dominions can die. And if you go, for example, this place right here, when Ermor's candle goes up to this province, it has a 3 and 6 chance of going into the water. Once it goes into there, it has a 1 in 2 chance of just utterly dying going from water to land. So just once a candle goes here, it has a 25% chance of dying. This province is pure murder for Aramorian. And then once it goes here, it has a 1 in 6 chance of going here and then into your provinces. The only thing you have to worry about is this one, and it only has a 1 in 4 chance of going to your province. So it's actually not as bad as what you think. And people get very worried about this whole Dominion spread thing. And I mean, I was talking to what was it when I was doing the one with Fascia. Theirs is kind of interesting because they need theirs in order to sail. So I can understand that, but I think people get a lot more worried about Dominion spread. Whereas I think what was it? Has Lucid put up his relay game? His LA relay game?
I don't think so, but I played against him.
Okay, he did a lower Dominion in that one, and I think that the meta is going to be, if you're not going to be taking a bless like what you're doing, I think a low Dominion is very possible.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Dom kill. Like, the only way that it's feasible that I would die that way is if I'm already losing. Like, if they've taken the surrounding provinces and they're, like, sieging my cap, then it'll be easier to Dom kill me than most nations. But, I mean, come on. At that point, I'll just go out in a blaze of glory and call it,
Exactly. If you get Dom killed, the reason you get Dom killed is because you're losing a war. It's not because you're winning a war and somebody's pushing into your Dominion. At that point, at least keep going. Yeah.
I haven't even seen it from the AI with, like, their stupid, like, way over design point things with, like, 10 Dom score or whatever. Even then, I've never been in any real danger of dying to Dom kill in single player testing. So, and if you are, you can preach. It's not ideal, but you can do it.
Now, you talked about
I'm not too worried about that.
You talked about these elephants. Are there any other units that are really good?
You do get secret archers, but I don't think they're worth investing anything significant in using. It's kind of awkward to use a lot of the mannequin stuff because they have different speeds. Like, those things are extremely slow. There are a bunch that are kind of slowish human speed, and then you also have a speed bracket that kind of works like cavalry, but they don't hit like cavalry. So I mean, you can catch somebody out if they're being careless with their scripting. You can certainly send a pack of 20 angry vine plants into their back mage line and screw them up. But I wouldn't expect too much out of the mannequins other than blocking and putting things to sleep. The sleep vines inflicting fatigue can be significant. It can screw up a lot of thugs that aren't very specifically geared to handle it. And you can't, like, soul vortex drain them. They can be a pain, but they're not very damaging.
Like, all of this looks like trash. Stats. Like, it's an attack 6 sleep vine, so it's really good. This is what you said. You use it against thugs, but then it's attack 6.
Yeah.
And what really made me, when I was playing these guys, what made me sad were these guys. These guys made me almost cry. Because, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. This is amazing. A flying, free flying free spawn. Nope, they don't fly.
Hops to 3 speed.
This made me, because if they flew, it would actually be a decent free spawn. But attack 5, these things aren't gonna hit crap. This is trash.
The only things with them is in darkness, they are a little bit more viable. They're still bad units, but they don't have a problem in the dark, and they can harass stuff down because you get a lot of them. But yeah, they are Garbo units. But they are free spawn. And they are undead, so they get the usual undead immunities.
Now, on the other hand, these guys are really good, but I want to transition from here over to the Pretender Gods so we can see them more in a line. Now, you are foregoing the Black Centaurs for the Centaur Warriors, correct?
Yeah.
And can you explain what these guys? Because I really like these guys.
I mean, they're fast units with good charge. They're stealthy, and they go berserk. They are good units. And they, even though I trash scales, I can still recruit some of them, enough of them to expand with, in addition to the Pretender. So I like their utility for their price.
And
Like
why do you go with them and not the? Because I know a lot of people like javelins. These are cheaper. What is the selling point for? I wish I could put them side by side. But what is the selling point for the warriors in comparison to the Centurides?
I practiced with both a while back, and I forget what I concluded that I like the warrior better. Let's look between them.
Well, I know this one has javelin and recoup, and the other one has
berserk.
Yes, this one is berserk. So and they have a bit more hit points, but they'll hit a lot harder once they go berserk.
Are there any other units that you plan on using in this other other than the Centaur Warrior? Are you planning on using any of these?
I might use the Satyrs to a degree. They can make decent raiders. I was in a game with RCK actually where as LA Pan I abused a couple people with them. I took like 17 provinces in one turn.
Oh
it was really nasty.
For 30 turns, I had 2 provinces, so it's whatever.
Yeah, we didn't fight directly in that. And then the Harpies are pretty bad units, but they are flying, unlike your mannequins. And you can use these if somebody's relying on a long script or they're not guarding their back. You can fly some of this in and screw up their script.
What I love about these guys is a 1.3 siege strength on a 7 gold unit. These things, to give you an idea, that's giant level gold efficiency. It's like the giant. Actually, it's way more than giant level. Like you can make something like 30 of these guys a turn. So you're looking at 40 siege strength. You put them on a couple of black harpies, and you can get siege strength everywhere. And I think it's something that people kind of overlook, is their ability to quickly siege down forts.
That's true, but I would only use that if I am trying to siege people out of an elfing, because they cost money, and this is a nation more so than many that starves for it. Plus, of all the things the mannequins can't do, when you have 500 mannequins, they're going to crack forts.
That's true.
So that's something they can do.
I just had a morning moment and forgot you're not Pan. I had a morning moment and forgot you weren't Pan. I'm sorry.
The mistake is understandable. Look at this roster; it just looks like Pan.
It does. God darn. Okay, so no harpy sieging. You're going to use the free spawn like an intelligent person. How about researching? What are you going to be using for research?
Dryad hags.
Okay, and those are so that's these ones right here, right?
Correct.
Now, why
those as opposed to other things? One, you can recruit them every turn. They're pricey, but you can recruit them every turn. That's good. They're sacred, so their upkeep isn't that devastating. It's another plus. And I am much more limited by fort turns than other things. Because, as I mentioned earlier, your only good forts that allow you to recruit at 2 recruitment points per turn are in forests. You're only going to get so many forests, and you want to maximize your research out of it. So I went Magic 3, and it's why I'm going to be recruiting mostly Dryad Hags to get the research going. Because it's really important I get 2 techs like Alteration 6, Enchantment 6, and probably some in both Conjuration and a little bit in Construction as well. That'll open up most of my stuff.
Now, let's go into your Pretender design. Which Pretender chassis did you take?
I took the White Bull. There's a pretty big spread of options here, but the problem for Asphodel is that, like I said, you really want Nature 4 at least, and that narrows down your scope a lot, because you want an Awake Nature 4, or you cannot... In my testing, you could recruit 6 pans, and if you're not lucky, you still won't be able to grow a fort in year 1. Whereas by taking this, you can see by turn 6, I'm going to be growing a fort and have access to mages, probably out of 2 forts by the end of year 1. So it's a big deal to have something with nature. So the Carrion Dragon's also an option. It's a little less pricey, but it doesn't have the protection that the Bull does when you put it on High Earth. Okay. And I thought that would be a really helpful thing to have, because I am weak to fire stuff. I'm weak to fire elementals. The Bull is a deterrent. Once you have Regeneration, Temper Flesh on that thing, or Elemental Fortitude, either or, they're both Alteration 4. It is very hard to kill this unless you have a strength-oriented bless, or you're like a giant nation, or you're like spamming lictors. It narrows down the number of different nations that can rush you out. That's also why I trashed cold, so that people can't just summon water elementals and kill it, or plus the Abyssians will be weaker in cold.
So why don't you go
2
over...
Dominion, cold 3, trash terminal, trash sloth, and the other things to 3.
Okay, so everything is trashed except what?
Growth is 3, luck is 3, magic is 3.
Okay, and then
I actually am Earth 7, Nature 4.
7, Nature 4? I still have points. How do I still have points?
You are dormant.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Good call. And so you went...
So, hard skin.
Hard skin.
Mountain survival, because I have an extra point.
Okay.
And I took unaging, because the Dryad Hags are kind of on the border there, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
And then I had 1 point left. So I believe I just took resilient in case I'm using the centaurs as thugs they get in the 1 higher regen bracket.
Okay. So the bless is the question I have first. Why did you go with hard skin?
It is almost exclusively for the pretender. I mean, you can find some utility on it once in a while otherwise, but it's for the pretender. This thing with both Berserk and hard skin has 29 protection before any other factors. And once you start factoring in Summer and Earth power, Iron Skin, you can easily get into the low 30s prot. So this thing is actually beefier protection-wise than the Pretender God you were doing in your YouTube video recently. Although he doesn't have the automatic Tangle Vines.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the scripting one. Yes, yeah. It's... Yeah. That guy was very beefy. He was beefy because the automatic... okay, he's not here. It's that stupid auto vine shield. It was a pain in the neck. That's seriously, it almost lost us the game.
Awakes you get right away, and you don't need to gear them. Although you can throw some gear on them. Like I've caught people off guard with an Earth Serpent with a Dancing Trident for repels, and then I just stuffed its MR and fluffed it with regen.
Well, what's fun is that... I've taken
forts from like Thunder Weapons bless peoples that way.
You can take this guy with a warrior. Oh no, okay. You went on the path, so you'd have to like talk about. You do like the Ring of the Warrior along with the Dancing Trident, so that not only is he getting the Ring of the Warrior, but he's also not only does he have the Dancing Trident, but it's at a higher attack skill too.
Yeah, although I'm less inclined on the bull just because it tramples.
True.
But it's kind of a meme on things like the Earth Serpent because it has fear, which also factors into the morale check. So you expand this Awake Expander, gets a bunch of experience, gets up to like 17 to 19 attack by experience, and then it has a fear aura. Like that kind of stuff is funny. But with this, since it's a trampler, I'd be more inclined to put fatigue reducing items on it.
Yeah, that's
like Amulet of Resilience or Girdle of Might, that sort of thing. And then MR, of course, or a resistance if the opponent is obviously going to attack me with a particular element.
Now, the downside of these things is that it falls off later as people gain more options. As you gain more options to deal with the with a Trampler, Awake Pretender, he becomes more able to be murderated. And so I'm assuming that you've got an early game strategy. Are you planning on doing a rush, or is it just to try to stay alive early game?
This is anti-rush, and it helps you get your infrastructure up quickly. That's one of the things people underestimate about Awake Pretenders. I know they've fallen out of favor in the meta recently, but you are taking provinces, like you saw, more quickly than otherwise, so you can win the races to some of those good indies if you're not Asphodel and you can actually build decent forts. They can get you those. They get you more money early on, and they get you forts started earlier. So some of the downsides of taking Awake is offset by the fact that you just have your infrastructure up sooner. You're producing units sooner, you're producing mages sooner. So this I am not going to be using in direct combat probably after turn 20 to 25-ish. It is to help me get there without somebody rushing me to death and in a decent situation when it comes to grown forts and infrastructure, other infrastructure. So yeah, after that, it's going to be a global caster, or maybe in a pinch, you can bring it in. Earth 7's a lot. You can bring it up to Earth 8 with some Earth power. and just use it in the back as a caster. Like, it's not going to carry the game for you any longer. But an Earth 8 mage spamming Petrify, or casting Living Earth a couple times, because you can cast that really fatigue efficiently at Earth 8, and just like paint 20 plus elementals on the map with one mage. I mean, it's nowhere near what a Titan would be, but it's still useful if you need it. Yeah, and it comes to it.
And the other thing that's nice about it is that it can't die easily and accidentally. If it's a caster, where if you have something with a fewer hit points, even if it's a pretender, it can accidentally die or get targeted. This is a little bit more beefy.
Yeah, and I mean, I've thought about things like that. Like, if it comes to late game and I have like a pile of 150 lictors in my face or something, I could empower it in air and cast Rain of Stones or something.
Never mind. It's Zerker, dude. If he gets hit, he might go insane, and then that would be an interesting battle.
Yeah, but if you have it with an army, especially when it's trapped behind piles of mannequins, it's still...
That's true. And at that point, yeah, I mean, it could get lost in the bunch and probably do some damage. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what you do with him in the mid to late game, because I'll be honest, I am very anti... I don't like the Awake Expanders very much, and I think that's a style issue instead of a... Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not a... Yeah. I think they're still viable, but personally, I don't take them very often. How often do you take the Awake Expanders? Because like you said, they're out of meta.
Maybe a little over half of my games so far.
Oh, wow.
Including 2 of my wins. Actually, both of my Awake Expander wins so far have been with the Earth Serpent at its current price of $270.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I remember
that one in the LA Pan game. In the late game, all it was doing was casting Wizard's Tower, and then Utgard had like 600 units clumped up in one spot, so I kept casting Melancholia on it. That's pretty much what was its job late. Oh, and it was holding up globals, though. I had Earthblood Deepwell up, and I had Riches from Beneath up. So that's not bad value. For something that you're taking to get you an early leg up, that is still contributing at that point is nice. It's certainly it's a fine choice.
Okay, well, I think that we are good on this regards, and I want to thank you for doing this. I think with the Awake Expander, one of the exciting things is I can probably expect to see you in future episodes and be able to talk to you as we get a little bit further along. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this low dominions Asphodel works, as well as seeing an Asphodel player that plays well, because I know that they have a very negative rap.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can do him justice. We'll see how the Diplo shakes out. For all I know, you might have been interviewed Pan, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I went strength +8, and I'm going straight for those nature gems." So we'll see.
Okay, well, RCK, thank you for joining me today.
It was good to be here.
And Mian, thank you for taking the time to show us what you've got, and I look forward to seeing you in future episodes.
Sounds good. It's been fun.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.